This vacuum passed a fog test that most vacuums in its price range have failed. Let's get into why. Hey, it's Garrick from the Cordless Vacuum Guide. This is the Shark Detect Pro model IW1111, and I've spent the last week putting it through the same battery of tests I run on every vacuum that comes through here. Airflow, suction, debris pickup, hair pickup, deep cleaning, noise, and fog tests for filtration leaks. Some of these numbers surprise me, so stick around because the headline spec isn't the only story here. Let's start with what you're actually holding. First thing I noticed picking this up is it's light. The body alone is a little over 2 pounds. Once you clip on the nozzle and the extension tube, the whole thing is just over 5 pounds. That's light enough that I didn't feel it in my arm even after longer cleaning sessions. And it makes a real difference on stairs or overhead cleaning. Up top, there's a small digital screen with 2 physical buttons. One turns the vacuum on and off, the other cycles through the power settings. Default setting is auto, and this is actually the smart part. In auto mode, the vacuum runs at its lower power setting until the sensor picks up debris. Then it jumps straight to max power to clear it and drops back down once the floor is clean. I left it in auto for most of my normal use and only switched to manual power setting when I needed a fixed number for the CFM tests. Now the dustbin. This is where it got interesting. It's 0.42 liters, which is actually bigger than what Dyson puts in the V12 Detect Slim. And it's got a quick release latch. You press it, the bottom pops open, and everything just falls out, including hair. That's the part that impressed me, because most bagless bins need a shake or a poke to get wrapped hair out from the edges. This one didn't need that. The trade-off is size. 0.42 liters fills up fast. So if you've got a bigger home, you'll be emptying this more often than you would with a larger canister vacuum. The Detect Pro ships with one nozzle, what Shark brands as Quad Clean, which really just means a soft roller with a few different agitation elements built into it. Bristles for grabbing debris, and a comb positioned behind a brush to help strip out hair before it wraps. It's an efficient design, especially on surface level debris. One more thing worth noting here, the battery is detachable, so if you want to keep a spare charged and ready, this one lets you. Let's get into the numbers, because this is really where the story is. Airflow at the nozzle came in at 17 CFM low, 24 CFM high. At the wand, 23.39 low, 36.32 high. That's a modest number compared to some of the higher end vacuums I've tested, and you'll see exactly where that shows up in a minute. Overall cleaning performance landed at 96.48%. Broken down, hard floors 99.6%, sand on hard floor 100%, carpet 99.55%. Hard floor results specifically were nearly perfect across oats, coffee grounds, quinoa, and pet litter. Genuinely excellent surface debris pickup. No caveats needed here. Runtime on the nozzle, hard floor gave me 25 minutes 56 seconds on low and 8 minutes 10 seconds on max. Carpet was a little better. 29 minutes 19 seconds on low, 12 minutes 55 seconds on max. So on low power, you're getting close to half an hour, which is solid. But remember, auto mode jumps to max the second it sees debris. So if you're cleaning a messier room, that 8 to 13 minute window is a real number to plan around. And that's a short runtime I'd flag as this vacuum's main limitation. 2 other things about the battery worth knowing before you buy. Charging is slow, 6 to 8 hours for a full charge. So this isn't a top it off between rooms kind of vacuum, and it's sensitive to heat. Mine flashed red on me more than once during testing, and it turned out to be charging too close to a heat source. So keep the dock away from heaters or direct sun, or you'll run into the same warning I did. Edge cleaning was solid but not instant. Debris right against baseboards took a couple of extra passes to fully clear. And on the 1/4 inch crevice test, it didn't pick up everything in one pass. That's the lower airflow catching up with it. Less pull at the tip means narrow gaps are tougher. Hair wrap on hard floors was a perfect 100% across every strand length I've tested. 5 inches up to 12. Carpet is where it gets more nuanced. Low pile results were strong, but a touch lower than hard floor. And that's actually more about the test surface than the vacuum. That section of carpet isn't perfectly flat, and that unevenness makes it harder for any nozzle to hold a full seal. If your carpet at home has worn spots or uneven transitions, expect a similar small dip. Mid-pile, on the other hand, was a perfect 100% across the board. Now hair wrap on carpet. This is the number I want you to pay attention to if you got heavy shedding pets with long hair in the house. 5-inch strands 100%, 7-inch 98%, but 9-inch strands drop to 64%, 11-inch to 75%, 12-inch to 72%. That's a real drop-off, and it ties straight back to that airflow number. There's just not enough pull to lift longer hair clear before it wraps around the brush roll instead. Deep cleaning came in at 86.8%, and that's the weakest number on the sheet. Same story, deep cleaning means pulling debris out from the base of the fibers, and that takes sustained suction that the Detect Pro doesn't quite have at this point. Noise measured at 77.2 decibels on low, 79.7 on max. It's on the louder side, especially once auto mode kicks up to full power on its own. If noise is a deal breaker for you, that's the one to weigh here. And then, the fog test. Honestly, this was the biggest surprise of the whole review. I run fog through the intake on every vacuum to check leaks around the seal, the bin gasket, the filter housing, anywhere air could escape unfiltered. Given the price point on this one, I expected at least some leakage. It passed completely clean. No visible leaks anywhere. That's a better result than some vacuums I've tested at a similar price point. Quick recap before the verdict. On the plus side, excellent surface pickup, a clean fog test, an easy dustbin release, lightweight build, and a swappable battery. On the downside, it's noisy, max power runtime is short, and that dustbin, as easy it is to empty, is small. So where does that leave the Shark Detect Pro? If you've got a small to mid-size home, mostly hard floors, or low to mid-pile carpet, and you want something light with a genuinely useful auto mode, this checks a lot of boxes. And that fog test result alone puts it ahead of vacuums expected to beat it. Where it struggles is anything that leans on raw airflow. Deep carpet cleaning, tight crevices, and longer hair wrap into carpet. If that's your situation, you'd want to look at something with more power behind it. I've written the full review with every test result linked below. If this was useful, subscribe and test these things so you don't have to buy 3 vacuums to find the one that actually works for your house.